Hi, friends. Welcome back to the Community Lab podcast. I'm your host, Rachel, and I'm so excited to have you here for week 2 of our 3-part series, all about crafting a memorable member experience. So, last week we talked all about member engagement. We chatted about some different ideas, and we talked about how creating engaging content was really an important piece to that overall member experience. So, this week, we're going to talk all about how we're going to craft that engaging content. And as we know, crafting content seems like you're so excited in the very beginning when you start the community building process. But we want to come up with a real plan that takes us from day one of plotting and planning out our community to day 901, when maybe coming up with content might seem a little more difficult. So, we also want to chat about putting in some long term plans for that crafting of really engaging content. So let's dive into this week's episode. Let's start with the very crucial first step, and that is understanding your audience. And it's essential to remember that your audience is a community of individuals with diverse interests and needs. The challenge lies in identifying those varied elements to ensure your content speaks directly to your community. This really involves three main things, and that is segmentation, listening, and engagement. So, segmentation is recognizing the different groups within your community, from avid learners to casual listeners, and understanding what drives them, because every community member is not the same and their engagement level is going to vary. But you still want to tune that content into something that will be engaging for all users in your community. Listening is tuning into the conversations within your community to catch the underlying themes that excite and engage members. And that goes back to that digital body language. And then last but not least is engagement, observing what types of content sparks the most interaction and feedback, serving as a guide to what your audience values most. Now, once you start getting attuned to what content already is working and what content isn't working, it will make that content planning piece so much smoother in the future. Now, there's some really great ways to gather information to help you in that content planning strategy. Begin by looking at direct engagement through polls, surveys, and feedback requests. I mean, it's a gold mine for content creators. It's a direct line of communication with your audience. Quick polls and surveys can yield immediate insights into your audience's current interests and needs, allowing you to adapt your content strategy in real time. And then you can always do the deep dive, right? So a more detailed survey and open-ended feedback requests can provide deeper insights into your audience's preferences, expectations, and areas of improvement within your community. And engagement opportunities. Every request for feedback is also an opportunity to engage. It shows your audience that their opinion matters, fostering a strong sense of community and belonging. By starting with a strong foundation of understanding your audience, you're setting the stage for a circle community that's not just informed, but also deeply engaged. So it really will help you lay out the groundwork for this next step, which is content strategy basics. So after you spent the time and you've gathered and got a deep understanding of your audience, next crucial step is to develop a robust content strategy that aligns with both your goals and those of your community. So just remember, you have to make sure that your goals align with your communities, or you really aren't going to succeed in this community building game. So I want to start by talking about defining your content goals and then aligning them with your community's objectives. You need to start by setting clear, achievable goals for your content. It is fundamental to any thriving communities. These goals should not only reflect your aspirations as a creator, but also cater to the needs and interests of your community. So I want you to consider a few things. So let's look at engagement goals. Are you looking to increase participation and discussion? Or perhaps you're aiming to boost attendance to a virtual event. Your content should be designed to drive those specific types of engagement. So if your goal is to get more folks to attend your next webinar, then your content strategy should revolve around how you're going to do that. If expanding your community is a priority, consider how your content can attract new members while still providing value to existing ones. That's a really key thing to keep in mind. As a content creator, the overall goal is to grow. If you don't grow, you die, right? We all have heard that once or twice in our lives. But you have to remain the same community that those OG founding members joined. You have to still remain desirable to them. Because if they're not active in your community, they're not really community members. So don't just throw out the old with the new big ideas. Make sure you're keeping this a cohesive group. And then value goals. Beyond numbers, think about the value you want to provide. This could be educational content, entertainment, or opportunities for professional growth. Aligning these goals with your community's objectives ensures that your content strategy not only serves your interests, but also resonates with and fulfills the needs of your members. So when you're developing a content calendar, what you're looking at doing at this point is you're planning topics, what the format's going to be like, and then, what your post frequency is going to be or your engagement frequency is going to be. So a content calendar is indispensable for any content creator. It helps you plan out your content in advance, ensuring a consistent and varied content offering that keeps your community engaged and looking forward to more. So, I want you to consider a few items here. So, one, you've got topics, right? So choose topics that resonate with your audience interests and needs based on those insights, that you've gathered from your audience research, and then mix evergreen topics in with for timely discussions to keep the content relevant and engaging. And then format. You want to diversify your content format to cater to different preferences within your community. This can range from written blog posts, articles, podcasts, videos, live Q&As, workshops, cohorts, you name it. And then frequency. You want to establish a posting schedule that keeps your community engaged without overwhelming them. The right frequency depends on the capacity to produce content and your audience's appetite to it. So it all goes back to that vision of your community. Is it a community where people are going to check in every day? Are they going to check in every week? Are they going to check in even less frequently? Your frequency of engagement will, one, set the tone for that, and two, which should match your community's desires. You'll see in the show notes, we have a couple of items in there that you can check out. We have a content planning guide. It's a really awesome Google spreadsheet that you can use to plan out your content. And we also just dropped a Trello board. And if you don't know what Trello is, I love Trello. It's a really easy way to visually plan for content in your community or even engagement strategies. We've dropped a Trello board for each of those. But check those out in the links too if you're looking for a way to get organized and so forth. Your content calendar should be flexible enough to accommodate spontaneous topics that arise from current events or community discussions. So once again, you're going to want to keep your pulse on what's happening in your community. There's kind of twofold, I guess I should step back here. There's twofold that I like to tell my clients. Is one, I like to have a strong content strategy in place that says, and in advance, that says, hey, in the month of March, these are the topics that we're going to highlight. We're going to drop content on these specific days. And I really, really implore my clients to have a drop day. So like this is the day the new podcast episode drops, or this is the day we drop new content into the community. Whatever it is, we want to train our community members to expect certain things from us, right? So that's the handshake to be a community member and as a host of a community, right? What is also really important, though, is staying on top of things. So if you're inside a community and suddenly a really great topic comes up or something real time in the world happens in your community and you need to discuss it, you want to be agile enough to be able to jump and talk about it, produce content around it. And you don't want to get yourself so lockjawed in that you can't pivot a bit. So it's a fine balance and it might take you a little bit of time, but once you get there, you'll feel it'll flow and it'll feel amazing. So by laying out a clear plan for what you'll share and in what format, you're setting yourself up and your circle community up for a vibrant and engaging online experience. But by also being agile enough to jump on Q&As that come up, jump on topics that are asked about, even if it's as simple as, oh, wow, that'd be a really awesome topic for us to discuss later in the year. I'm going to put that on the roadmap or on the brain dump, and we're going to see where we go with that. It's something as simple as just acknowledging that community member or members who are angling for content and being agile enough to have that in the plan too. The next item I want to talk about are content formats that spark engagement. So, for podcast hosts, coaches, and content creators looking to build a thriving circle community, diversifying content format is key to maintaining high levels of engagement and participation. Each format has its own strengths and can appeal to different members of your community in unique ways. And I want to give you some ideas on ways to leverage various content formats to spark meaningful engagement. And there's no right or wrongs here. If you don't love the written word and you like to just record podcasts or videos, and that's the way people consume you, keep going with it. If it already works for your audience, stick with it. But these are just some ideas to chew on a bit. So my first engagement tip is for written posts is to craft written posts that prompt action or thought. Ask open-ended questions at the ends of your post to encourage comments and discussions. So you want to ask people to give you the engagement that you're yearning for, right? And what better way than to ask? So keep your written content concise and informative and break text into digestible paragraphs and use bullet points or lists to highlight key takeaways. So really making it concise and easy to consume and small nuggets really works best. So for video, create videos that are not only informative, but also personable. Show your personality and encourage viewers to share their thoughts in the comments. Once again, asking for that bit of engagement. And then ensure videos are good quality with clear audio and lighting. Keep them short enough to maintain interest, but long enough to cover the topic comprehensively. Now let's talk about live sessions a little bit. So you can use live sessions for Q&As, workshops, or just casual get-togethers, coffee dates with your community. These sessions can create a sense of intimacy and foster a stronger community bond. Announce your live sessions, though, well in advance and prepare an agenda or list of topics to go over. Be interactive, acknowledge comments and questions from participants in real time. And I highly recommend bringing a moderator along to help you facilitate that. Regular Q&A sessions can make your community feel heard and valued. Use these sessions to address common questions or topics suggested by your members. That also allows for live questions, following up with a summary post of those who couldn't attend. So it's okay to ask for those Q&As in advance, but still be live while you're answering them. And then one of my favorites are interactive polls. Polls are definitely an excellent way for quick engagement and gathering opinions or feedback. They can also be a fun way to decide on topics of the future or content or events. Keep polls simple and straightforward. Share the results and your thoughts on them to keep the conversation going even longer. By integrating a mix of these content formats into your circle community, you can cater to the varied preferences of your audience. That way you can ensure that everyone finds something that resonates with them. This variety not only keeps the community lively and engaging, but also reinforces the value you bring as a creator, making your circle community a dynamic and indispensable resource for your members. Now, encourage user generated content. And this one seems like such a no brainer to me, but it skipped so often in content strategy. In the vibrant ecosystem of a circle community, fostering a culture where members feel compelled to share their own content can significantly amplify engagement and create a really rich, multi dimensional experience. So, here are some strategies and some insights on encouraging user generated content. How do we do this though? Like, right? Like, how do we motivate members to share? So, I have a couple of ideas to throw at you. One is start by creating a welcoming environment, right? Like, crazy. So, no one's sharing in your community. Maybe they don't feel that they can. So, you want to cultivate an atmosphere where all members feel safe and encouraged to express themselves, highlighting inclusiveness and respect as core community values can significantly lower barriers to participation. And then provide clear call to actions. Sometimes members need a nudge to share. Use clear, direct calls to action in your posts, videos, or during live sessions, inviting members to contribute their thoughts, stories, or answers to specific questions. Sometimes you just got to ask. And then offer platforms for sharing. Designate specific threads or spaces within your circle community for user generated content. For example, a weekly share your story thread or a question of the week can provide a focused outlet for member contributions without cluttering up your rock star content strategy. One of the ones I love to recommend to my clients is a member spotlight. Regularly featuring members in spotlights can not only showcase diverse perspectives, they can also make members feel valued and seen. This recognition can motivate others to become more active, hoping to be featured in the future. It's that FOMO, it goes right back to FOMO. And encourage diversity of thought. Member spotlights can cover a wide range of topics from personal success stories to unique challenges that are faced. This diversity enriches the community experience and fosters a deep sense of connection and understanding among your members. Community challenges. So, challenges, whether they're related to content creation, personal growth, or skill development, can spark engagement and encourage members to put forth their best efforts. Offering small incentives or recognition can further boost participation. You'll notice if you've ever taken a course within the community lab that you get a certificate at the end. And while that's really commonplace on a lot of platforms, Circle doesn't have that built into their courses yet. But we found a workaround and we've made it happen. And so you get that certificate recognition. And that really does make our community in particular stand out from the rest because that's not something that any other community that we've been able to see offers at this time, a personalized certificate. And we just put together a little workaround to make it happen. It's simple things like that that make members feel like they completed something. There was a goal to be achieved. And then you really want to foster collaboration. So encourage members to work together on challenges. This not only leads to user generated content, but also strengthens the community's bonds through collaborative efforts. And then, shared experiences. Highlight common journeys among your members. Sharing experiences, whether through collaborative projects, group challenges, or shared goals, creates a sense of camaraderie and mutual support. It encourages members to contribute to their own stories and insights, enriching the community fabric. And of course, celebrate milestones. Acknowledge and celebrate community milestones, such as the completion of a challenge, anniversaries, or achievements of specific goals, just like I just said, our certificate at the end of courses. The collective celebration underscores the value of each member's contribution and encourages continued participation. By implementing these strategies, you can transform your circle community into a dynamic space, brimming with user generated content. This not only relieves some of the content creation pressure from you as the community leader, but also deeply engages your members, making them feel like an intricate part of your community's success and vibrance. Okay, friends, let's take a brief pause and learn a little bit more about circle. In case you're wondering, what is the circle thing I'm constantly talking about? Welcome back, friends. Now, let's talk a little bit about analyzing and adapting your content. So, it's always, and I'm sure you're probably feeling like I'm beat down a horse with this all the time. But if you don't, you can't just put a content plan out and then let it be. You have to not only nurture it, but you must check in on it and make sure it's working. So, an intricate part of managing a thriving community involves continually monitoring and adapting your content strategy based on member engagement and feedback. Circle itself provides several tools and metrics, and it keeps getting better. They can help you gauge the effectiveness of your content. So it allows you to make data driven decisions for future content planning. And I'm a numbers person. I like to see if things are working or not. Let's just talk a little bit about the metrics that you can use. So if you're utilizing the metrics within Circle, I would pay attention to these items. So pay attention to key indicators of engagement such as comments, likes, and shares that are happening within your circle community. These metrics can help you understand which types of content resonate most with your members. And and don't just kick away everything that doesn't immediately work. You could have that slow burn. And then member activity, monitoring how active members are in your community and in specific spaces can give you insight into their interests and preferences. High activity levels in certain areas can guide you to produce more of the content that sparks interest. Before you're diving into the analytics, have clear objectives of what you hope to achieve with your content. If it is to increasing member engagement, boosting membership numbers, fostering deep discussions, this will help you focus on the metrics that matter most. So just because a post in particular, maybe, it didn't have as much engagement as you had hoped it did, well, did it help push you towards one of those community goals? Once again, I love numbers, but they're not the end all. You really have to take the data and consume it as well. And then make it a habit to review your content's performance regularly. This could be a weekly, monthly, or quarterly basis, depending on your community's activity level and the content frequency. And then experiment with different kinds. If certain content types are underperforming, don't be afraid to experiment. Try out new formats or topics that can reveal what your audience truly values. And again, direct feedback from your members can be just as valuable as quantitative data. Consider conducting regular surveys or feedback sessions to get insights into how your content strategy aligns with your member expectations. And you have to evolve your strategy then based on these insights. If analytics indicate a growing interest in a specific topic or format, consider adapting your content strategy to include more of those elements. Staying responsive to trends keeps your community dynamic and engaging. Address low engagement areas. For content areas showing consistently low engagement, evaluate whether they need a refresh and approach or if resources would be better focused elsewhere. Sometimes discontinuing certain types of content can free up resources for more impactful initiatives. And then celebrate successes. When analytics highlight a particular success, such as a post or event that garners significant engagement, take the time to understand why it was successful. This can inform future content creation, helping you replicate what works best for your business. So, by thoughtfully analyzing your content based on the analytics available to you in Circle and member feedback, you can ensure that your community remains a lively and engaging, valuable space for members. And this process of refinement will help you craft a content strategy that not only meets but exceeds the expectations of your community members, fostering a sense of belonging and continued growth. So, thank you for joining me again this week, friends. This was part 2 of our 3-part series. This week, we talked all about content strategy, why it's so important, why planning it out is so integral into a thriving community, and while also remaining agile to make adjustments and changes is equally as important. And next week, we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics, and that is digital body language. And I just love it. It's so interesting to me. It kind of goes back to a class I took in college about the psychology of why people buy. This is sort of like the psychology behind their engagement. And I encourage you to stay tuned next week for that episode. And we're going to dive deep into what digital body language is and how you can utilize it in your. Have a great week, friends. We'll see you then. Bye.